Every season, the fashion gods bestow upon us the trends, but they leave you, the fashion consumer, hanging as to which trends are going to work best for you. Probably because they want you to screw it up and buy more shit, but that's not what I want for you. I want fashion to be fun because it is fun and because it is such a powerful tool. And if you don't know how to use that tool, it just becomes hard, and hard isn't fun. So I'm going to share some of fall 2021's hottest fashion trends and give you the insider information as to which body shapes, coloring, and personal style vibes would benefit most from adding them into their closets, so you can stop wasting money and feeling frustrated at the stores and in your closet. If you are new here, I am Courtney St. Clair, your transformative style coach. I help empower, educate, and inspire women to level up their confidence and become magnetic by helping them learn to dress as the next level, most stylish, most badass boss version of themselves. If you are catching this on IGTV and you are not yet following me, make sure you hit that follow button. And if you are seeing this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Okay, so before I deliver the trend report that you deserve, it's going to make a lot more sense and be a lot easier for you to make an intentional decision on which trends to try if you know your body shape and personal style vibes. So if you haven't already downloaded my free body shape guide or my 11 style success journal prompts, I highly recommend you either grab them at the link in my bio or from the show notes below, depending on which platform you are watching this on. Also, by grabbing either of those, it will put you on my VIP list to snag a sweet insider pre-launch discount on something that I will be launching in the next few weeks that will help you absolutely fall in love with your style this season. Okay, so the first trend I want to talk about is the long sleeve black mini dresses. Now, little black dresses are not exactly a new trend. They are timeless, but the hottest style of the little black dress is always changing. And this season, it's all about the short length with the long sleeves. And this particular cut will look super flattering on H-shaped women because they tend to have really killer legs. Because they're not as full through the hip, it makes it look like their legs go on for miles, and then the horizontal line just below the hip line will create the illusion of a little more fullness to the hip, and the higher neckline with the long sleeve keeps the eye traveling up the body to give them this beautiful long streamline effect. If you are A-shape or X-shape and you want to draw attention to the beautiful curve of your hips, then this would also work really well for you. But if you are someone who is self-conscious of your hip line, then this is a trend that you will want to pass on. The little black dress is a staple and it works really, really well in everyone's closet, no matter what your style vibe is. It's just about finding one with the right details that speak to your tastes. The next trend is the Fair Isle knit sweaters. I love putting these sweaters on my little boys during the holiday season. I think they just look like little tiny middle-aged lawyers relaxing at their chalet. But if you are a woman who wants to pull off this trend, then you really need to love it. It would absolutely suit any woman who has more of an androgynous or tomboy style to them, or even eclectic, even classically preppy, or maybe even a boho style if it was styled very well. Would suit all of those. As for body shapes, it would be most flattering on. The print as well as the fabric is going to add a lot of fullness to the upper half of the body. So someone who is an A shape would actually look quite balanced in this, as well as even an H shape would look nice, especially if the majority of the print is sitting above the natural waistline and more right across the actual bust. V-shaped women will probably want to stay away from this trend as it will only add more fullness to the upper half of the body. Then we have bold prints. Bold prints obviously will pair well for anyone who has a bolder vibe to their style. If your goal is to have a clean, minimalistic kind of style, this is not the trend for you to try to adopt. But if your goal is to have a bolder style, like say something like a bold feminine vibe, then adopting this trend by adding some bold florals into your closet would be a perfectly aligned match. Bold prints add fullness. It takes the eye longer to move from image to image, creating the illusion of more space to an area. So bold prints can be adopted by any body shape. You just want to be mindful of where the print is on your body and ask yourself, is that an area that I want to add some extra fullness to or not? Then we have leopard print coats. Leopard print is basically a classic neutral at this point, almost like stripes are a neutral print. However, like other neutral prints, they don't work as a basic across all style vibes, right? Leopard print works if you have kind of a bolder, edgier, or more glamorous vibe to your style. It doesn't mesh all that well if you have more of a preppy, clean, or casual vibe to your style. In terms of body shape, leopard print is a fairly high density print, so it keeps the eye busy moving up and down the body, especially if it is a longer coat, then it's going to help to lengthen the body. So in that regard, it would work very well across all shapes. But again, it's the placement of the details on the coat, like where the buttons are, the size of the lapels, if it has a belt and where that belt is. All those things would come into play to help you determine which leopard print coat would look the most flattering on your specific shape. Then we have sequins, and personally I am very excited about this trend. It has a very roaring 20s feel to it to be incorporating sequins and glitter outside of the holiday season, and it adds a touch of glam, which makes it perfect if your style vibe is more glamorous or feminine or a little bit over the top or extra. It would even work very well if you had like an up-leveled bohemian style. Very, very much plays to your inner little girl. The thing that you want to keep in mind about sequins is that they are reflective. So wherever you place them, it's going to reflect the light and make that area appear larger. And the lighter the color of the sequins, the larger the area will appear. So again, you want to ask yourself, if you are going to be happy adding a little bit of fullness to that area of your body, where the sequins will be placed. The other thing that you want to keep in mind is that sequins add bulk, which again creates the illusion of more fullness, but they also make a garment a little bit more stiff, right? The piece is not going to flow over the natural curves of your body as well. So if you have a large chest, like a V shape, placing sequins on the top half of your body isn't going to look as flattering as if you place them on the bottom, because it's going to create a boxy-like effect over the bust. You know, same with women who are more curvaceous all over, like an endomorphic body type. They might not like how they look in sequin garments because it doesn't ebb and flow over their body, but instead might make them look a little bit bulky or like stuffed into the piece. Whereas someone who has more angle to their body, like an ectomorph, will benefit from the balance that the stiffness and fullness will bring to their body. Next, let's talk about the printed pants trend. Printed pants, again, are a little bit more of an out there choice for our style because they aren't really the norm. We aren't as accustomed to seeing printed pants the way we are seeing printed shirts or even printed skirts. So if your style vibe is, again, a little bit bolder or edgier or eclectic, then this trend would bode very, very well for you. Again, it depends on the print. Floral print would work better for someone who has a bolder feminine style, while a plaid print would pair better for someone who has an edgier look depending on what it's paired with. Personally myself, I have a pair of black and white houndstooth pants as well as a pair of leopard print pants, and both work really well with my glam feminine look when paired with the right top and accessories. The size of the print is also an important factor to remember. The bigger the print, the more fullness it will add to an area, and the smaller the print, the more it will keep the eye busy. So low density print pants work very well for H shapes as well for V shapes because they are going to create the illusion of more fullness on the bottom half. So for a V, that would balance out the top, and for an H, it would make the actual waist appear smaller. As well as high density prints paired with a plain top will also draw the attention down, which again works very well for H shapes and V shapes as well as O shapes. You just want to make sure that the size of the print is in proportion to your body size. So a high density print on me as a petite straight size woman would have a much smaller size print pattern than a high density print on a taller plus size woman. The size of the print on hers would be a little bit bigger. If you are an A shape and you really want to rock a pair of printed pants, you can also pair a higher density print, so smaller, busier, with a larger, bolder print on the top to create the illusion of balance, because you are adding more fullness to the top half of the body while keeping the eye busy and moving down the bottom half. On to sweater vests now, and this trend works very well for anyone who has a minimalistic style or more androgynous or tomboy vibe. It can also work very, very well if you have more of an athleisure aesthetic, especially if you pair it with like a pleated skirt for a bit of a tennis vibe. It also works well for anyone who has a preppy vibe, but honestly, the right vest can work pretty well across the board when paired with the right garment and accessories. I would say that this is a pretty universal trend, which is probably why it will be one of the more popular ones we see, because the more the masses can adopt a trend and make it work for them, the more popular it becomes, obviously. That's why wide leg pants will more than likely be sticking around for a while, because they are universally flattering on all body shapes. But back to the vests, which body shapes will the sweater vest work well for? If you're going to put another shirt underneath the vest, it will draw the eye up and bring attention to the top half of the body, specifically where the lines are going to lay, so at the neckline and at the shoulders. So this is really great for A and H shapes to add some fullness to the top half of the body, to create the illusion of balance for the A shape and to create the illusion of a smaller waist for the H shape. If you are a V shape and you want to rock a sweater vest, it's best to get a vest that has a V neckline and to opt out of wearing a shirt underneath it, so it will harmonize with the natural shape of your body, and to pair it with something like an A-line skirt or wide leg pants to add fullness to the bottom portion and create more of that balanced effect. The next trend we are going to talk about is the cropped jacket trend. This is another trend that could work fairly well across all style vibes, depending on the jacket. Crop jackets, generally speaking, fall right around the natural waistline and tend to look the most flattering on women who have a well-defined waist, because when you have a horizontal line, like which the bottom of the jacket will create, and you place it at the middle of the body, and the middle of the body is also very well defined, it creates this cinching effect. It pulls the eye in and makes the area appear smaller. So A and X shapes would look the most flattering in this trend, whereas H and O shapes do not have a very well-defined waist. And when you place a horizontal line across the middle of their bodies, it actually has a widening effect. I know it sounds incredibly contradictory, but I don't control how the eye works. I can only tell you about it. So these body shapes might not particularly like how this trend looks on their bodies. V shapes who want to draw attention and play up their full bust also would probably really like how this trend looks on them. Then we have saturated colors. So usually in the fall, we usher in those dusty, muted tones, but this year we are seeing more rich, saturated, and bright colors on the shelves. And depending on the color, this can pretty much work well for any vibe, but probably not those who are aiming for more of a clean, minimalistic aesthetic. But if you have a bolder style, then a head-to-toe saturated look would be great for you. But if you aren't going for bold, you can still adopt this trend just in a smaller scale. Saturated colors look the most flattering on people who have a clear complexion, which means something in your features is well pigmented, or you have a lot of contrast to your features. So maybe you have very rich hair, or you have a lot of pigment to your skin, or you have really, really bright colored eyes. I have a clear complexion, my hair is bright, and my eyes are bright. You can see in the image that the model in the red has very soft coloring. There is not a lot of contrast or brightness to her features, and this color is overpowering her, right? It's making her look washed out. Whereas the other two models who have beautifully rich pigmented skin, these saturated colors are complementing them beautifully. And then we have the fully tailored look. This is a fantastic trend if your vibe is clean, minimalistic, androgynous, tomboy, or even has like a powerful or a vibe of wealth, right? This is an amazing trend for women who have an ectomorphic body, because the pleats and the stiffness add fullness and balance to your bodies, giving them a little bit more shape. Those women who have an endomorphic body shape We'll probably want to steer clear of this one as it can make you look a little bit boxy and bulky because again, those pieces are not going to ebb and flow over the body's natural curves as nicely. This trend will work very well for almost all body shapes depending on where the details are placed on each piece and how you accessorize, but it does tend to look exceptionally beautiful on the H-shaped body because the pieces are stiffer and tend to harmonize beautifully with the column-like shape effect of your body. Okay, so I wanna know which trend you are most excited about and which trend or trends you will be adding to your wardrobe this fall season, so let me know in the comments. Until next time, get up, dress up, and show up.